You are listening to Trophy Horse with your hosts, Tricky Nick, Alex, Alil Tinoan, Sid, and Ender Phoenix.
Welcome everybody to Trophy Wars episode 692. My name's Matt. I'll be your host tonight because Tricky decided to take a vacation. We tried putting him on assignment again and having him go to Kuala Lumpur, but obviously he didn't want to do that, so he took the week off. But with us are the usual suspects, first up being Alex. What's up, Alex?
You know, I think that Tricky would get into way too much trouble in Kuala Lumpur to send him there. So, you know, I think he's going to be up to no good wherever he goes. But I think whatever he's doing is probably won't be as much of an international incident than what he might have done going to another country.
And I did get a good riff in with Tricky on his vacation because I went to a impromptu Devils game today, and as he's wont to do on weeks that he's not going to be here, he FaceTimes me to get a status update, and he got a nice good shot of me in my Devils jersey on a Devils win night, so that's what he gets. But
you got to give him the shit back. He gives enough shit out to everybody for this, that, and everything, but particularly for the NHL. So Matt, you've caught enough shit for him. I think he deserves some back.
And the Devils won, so you know that's enough for me to feel good today.
Well,
but
of course they won, Matt. Of course they did.
It was an overtime victory. It was close. Also, hopefully feeling good. Yield, how you doing, Yield?
Happy Liberty Day!
You're gonna have to clue me into that one because I'm
obviously
not up on.
That's a Helldivers thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, obviously I'm a bad democracy lover. So,
I just remember it's in October. That's all.
It's today, as a matter of fact.
So, yeah, we are recording on Liberty Day. So, you know, go out there and spread some managed democracy for us if you're listening to this. How you guys doing, though? How was your week?
It's been a week. Decent weekend, though.
Yeah, I am there with you. It's been a rough week, personally, professionally, administratively. But
boy, Matt,
you're not here to hear us.
Getting it from all sides.
It's really rough. But you're not here to listen to us complain about your problems. You're here to listen to us talk about trophies and games.
You're here to listen to us complain about trophies.
Well, I won't complain about trophies.
You absolutely will, Matt.
I don't complain about trophies because I don't get trophies to really complain about them.
Oh, Matt, some of the trophies you do complain about, like the ones that's like start training or something like that, and you get a trophy, you will complain about those.
Yeah, but you know what? I stopped complaining when I don't see those popped up because I turned off my trophy notifications now, so I don't get enraged every time I see a trophy pop up for swing a sword.
But congratulations, you took a step.
What, that you're supposed to get like that endorphin hit or what dopamine hit from getting a trophy pop? Like that's what like chemically in your brain happens, which is why people get so hooked on trophies. You took that away from yourself, Matt?
Yeah, because I wasn't an endorphin hit when I'd see, you got through the start menu, here's a bronze trophy.
Well, it's not like it was a gold.
Yeah, well, it still inflates numbers, and we obviously give Tricky enough shit for inflating his numbers with bullshit game trophies, so
well,
that's why I get upset.
That's because he's a dirty son of a bitch, and he deserves it.
Yeah, but that's why I get upset when I see bullshit trophies like that in games that actually matter and shouldn't be inflating trophy numbers like that. I mean, that's just a sign of a lazy dev. Anyways, speaking of trophies, let's go into our updated trophy counts for the week. Tricky is at level 971 with 34,957 trophies and 1,001 platinums. Alex?
Level 525, total trophy count of 10,873. and platinum count 198 in 197 games.
Yield.
Newly minted 536 with a trophy count of 11,466 and a platinum count of 221.
I am level 222 with a total count of 1,352 trophies and 0 platinums, while Sid is level 899 with 27,654 trophies and 862 platinums. Speaking of trophies, it seems like we have a rarity update this week.
We do. Let me pull it up here. Ta-da! Roll back to the top. Alright. Pee-wee earned the highest score of the week across both divisions with a whopping 300 points, moving her into a commanding lead at the top of Division 1 with 1,621 points. Nitro is still in second, but dropped off pace, managing just 6 points this week, and is now at 1,259. Myself has closed the gap to Nitro by scoring 58 points and sits third with 1,070. Rick scored -1 this week, taking him back to 1,058. Decay occurring from his Wobbly Life trophies, and our latest contestant to break the 1,000 point mark is Psychiatrist, who scores 85, moving him to 1,051 points. It's very close between 3rd, 4th, and 5th. There were no positional changes further down the league, but some strong performances nonetheless, notably from Gareth, with 138 points to stay 8th, Doc Chicken 13 with 91 to stay 7th, and Diego with 65 to stay 6th. The bottom 3 remain the same. Tricky is rooted to the foot of the table on 246 points. He did, however, score 28 this week and has clawed some ground back on Waterfields 1, who earned 3 points and is on 388 points. Mr. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 84 occupies the 3rd regulation spot with 443 points, thanks to his score of 43 this week. California Wayne sits 1 place above the line on 491 points and still has work to do in order to retain Division 1 status next season. On to Division 2. Another change at the top on Division 2 with this title. Ifrit Hellfire 90 moving to the top of the league, scoring 225 points, including 16 ultra rare trophies in Tentacular, at least that's how I'm going to say it, a PlayStation VR2 game. He leads the way with 759 points. Rolling on the floor laughing out loud, Z is within striking distance in second with 731 points, following his 36-point increase this week. X-Nightmare 317 still sits third on 413 points, but now only has a buffer zone of 50 points from 4th place Murray 2011, who hits 42 points this week. Alex moved up the rankings for a 2nd consecutive week. He hit 72 points and moves to 8th on 275 for the season. Elsewhere, Dupes 25 moved up to 5th. Resident Daryl jumped a place to 10th thanks to 26 points. And Darth Knight 82 hit one of his best scores of the season with 44, helping him move to 13th from 14th. Departed 570 was the only other mover in the division as he climbed a place leapfrogging Stink Palm into 16th on 76 points, while a Stink Palm sits on 75. The rarest trophies of the week. In 5th, we have Darth Knight 82 in It's All Their Fault, was the trophy name, and Green Hell at 3.81%. 4th, we have Ifrit Hellfire 90 with the Johnny Dory time trial at 2.30% in Tentacular, blah, 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 blah. 3rd, we have Diego with Abandoned Ship and Call of Duty Black Ops 4 at a 2.28%. 2nd, California Wayne with World Tour and NBA 2K26 at a 1%. And in first, we have none other than Gareth with Worms Master and Worms WMD at a whopping 0.87%.
All right. Well, congrats to everybody making some movements in the charts this week. Hopefully next week shakes it up even more.
You know, I heard there was a little decay in Rick's trophies for Wobbly Life, and I think the worst thing that could happen to Rick is he got some credit for that game and being one of the only people to get it, and now people know about it and like, oh shit, we're gonna go get some Wobbly Life. So I think somebody owes Rick an apology.
Is that me? Do I owe him an apology?
Well, I don't want to say Gareth, but I just think that like the word getting out the word that he got those trophies is going to kill the rarity of them. I don't know if they're particularly hard to get, but when you find like one of those like smaller games that are like ultra rare, and then everybody jumps on them, I don't know. It kind of I would assume it's going to kill his score a little bit. Not kill it, but lessen his score.
Well, maybe that's the point of the challenge and the weekly reporting, that way people can't sneak around and win just because other people aren't paying attention.
Or hide their trophies. Tricky. Oh, excuse me.
Hopefully get that cough looked at, Yield.
Yeah, I need to go to the doctor.
All right. Also, with that, we do have an actual Sophie's Trophies this week. So with that said, Sid, take it away.
Hello again, my friends. It's Sid with another platinum shout out, roundup, whatever you wish to call it. Sorry I missed last week, guys, but time just got away from me and I just completely forgot to record. So sorry to everybody. So this is going to be a mix of last week's and this week's. So first we have Psychist with Lamentum on the PS4. Ratchet and Clank Going Commando on the PS3, and Root Letter on the PS4. Gaz Davis 11. We have Sports and Wild Pinball on the PS5, and Worms Weapons of Mass Destruction on the PS4. Then we have Doc Chicken 13 with Sekiro Shadows Die Twice on the PS4. So yeah, I love that game, guys. I can't finish it, but I do love it. Then we have Raise Havoc, High on Life on the PS5. Dupes 25, Little Nightmares 2 on the PS5. I've started that one, I just didn't get out of the first room. Not for any particular reason, I just didn't get anywhere with it. And then we have Rolf Lols with Resogun on the PS4. Another one I can't finish. Then Crook 09, Stars, Stripes, and Subgames on the PS5. Never heard of that one. Okay, so deep breath because I'm running out of breath here, guys. We have Pee-wee ITFC with McPixels 3 and Dead Cells, both on the PS5. California Wayne with Dave the Diver on the PS5. Redbeard Rick with Monopoly on the PS4. EDJ3DJ or DG, sorry, Battlefield 6 on the PS5, and Cuphead on the PS4. And then we have Misa Goats a Lot with Cocoon, Yuka Replayly, Jack and Daxter The Lost Frontier, and Vember, all on the PS5. And that's it for this week, guys. That is all of your platinums for the last 2 weeks. Looking at it, guys, I really would have said Sekiro for the platinum. Shout out this week, the winner for me this week, because I know how difficult that game is. I cannot get anywhere in it. But coming up a close second, I'm going to say Battlefield 6, because I'm presuming there's going to be some multiplayer stuff on there, and I'm not very good at the multiplayer stuff. That's why I never finished the Gears of War, because there was far too much multiplayer trophies and things on that. But yeah, so yeah, Sekiro followed by Battlefield 6, and third one this week, just because, what would I say is a hard game? Well, maybe not a hard game, but something I couldn't do. I'm going to go Resogun and Cuphead for joint third. So there you go, guys. None of it means anything really, but you know what? Why not make these judgment calls? I will talk to you again next week. And everybody, keep having fun, keep getting those trophies, and hope you're all okay. Bye.
All right, and thank you, Sid, for that great report out. Appreciate it when you send something in for us to listen to. So just remember, folks, that all your trophies, go join the groups, join the Loot Trophy group on Facebook. What's the name of that, Yield?
Trophy loot, or doggone it. Yeah, trophy looting.
Yeah, obviously I'm not in it, so.
I'm
yeah, no.
at the moment, but
We'll report on that later.
Yes,
but yeah,
looting.
Join all the groups. Go join trophy looting for the latest on those activities. But for the latest, let's talk about what we've been playing this last week. Yield, you had a week off. Why don't you come back and tell us what you've been doing?
So I was at my brother's last weekend, and we played some Overcooked. We played Overcooked 2. I'm sorry. We played some Everybody's Golf Hot Shots. We played the multiplayer modes. We did the Bomb Golf. And I forget what the other one was called. But we played a couple of like the crazy multiplayer modes. Did some NCAA college football, the newest one. Played some of that. My brother has that. And then that was about it that weekend. I've been playing some, little bit of Rocket League, little bit of Helldivers. Definitely got to watch the fireworks at Super Earth on Liberty Day. I've been playing a lot of Farm Simulator 19 because I was close to the platinum, and that was my latest platinum. I got it just this past week. So that's another one checked off the list. And I have been playing another game called Neo Sprint. If you remember Super Sprint back in the day from NES, it's kind of in that same vein, a top-down racing game. So I've been kind of having some fun with that. I think that's everything I've been playing.
Okay. Sounds like a productive 2 weeks. Alex. Not too bad at all. Alex, what have you been up to?
So been finishing up some games, starting some new games. Finished the Haunted Hallows, the Scooby-Doo edition of Haunted Hallows. Got all the free stuff. Still not willing to spend any money on anything, but I will say if you are into spending money in Rocket League, they just today released the hearse from Wednesday, as well as some Poppy's Playtime stuff. There's a Huggy Wuggy goal in there that does look pretty cool, but again, it's $8, so you judge how much you want to spend. But they did add some new Halloween flavored stuff into the shop, and I encourage people, if you're a fan of Rocket League, just check every day because they do put random Halloween things in there. I think there's a gargoyle car topper in there today, which is only 50 credits, so that's not too much. It's kind of cool, so I might grab it. But yeah, the beyond that, finished up the DLC in High on Life. I got the Platinum Trophy in High on Life, and then I don't remember if I did that last show, but I notched that, and then I started High on Knife, which is the DLC, which is a story focused on the your little knife bud Knifey. I mean, it's Knifey, it's all in the name, but he's kind of the most bloodthirsty of all your little companions as far as your weapons go. He's kind of he's a character, I'll tell you that much, but the story centers around him, and I will say some good, some bad from the DLC. I really like the new area that you explore, the new world, Paroxys. It's got basically just like a giant salt rock. The main city on there is Salt Lick City. If you know your U.S. agriculture, or not agriculture, but your geography, you can kind of get where the joke came from. The inhabitants of the planet are primarily slugs, who swear by the fact that salt will heal them. So you can kind of see the humor of the game there, that there's a bunch of slugs living in Salt Lake City. Cool new weapon. It's like almost like a pinball weapon. It's a gun that shoots out a little metallic ball that if you shoot it at the right time, 5 straight times, like you got to shoot it once, it shoots a ball out and the ball will then come back to you. If you shoot the ball as soon as it comes back to you 5 times, you create an explosive projectile, which is pretty cool. But it's just a really cool gun, very unique as well. And Knifey gets an upgrade. He becomes a chainsaw. Once was a knife, then becomes a chainsaw, which leads to a whole lot of hilarity and gore, and it's just kind of like another like step up for that character. The best thing about High on Life is the guns. It's their interplay, their um, dialogue, all that, their characters. It's the best part. So not that the gameplay is bad, but the whole traveling around with the guns it was for me the most enjoyable part. One of the things very odd though in the DLC is they dropped Kenny, who was like the main gun. He was like the first gun you got in the main game of High on Life, and he also had like the only character arc or one of the main character arcs in the entire story. And he's not in the DLC, and they actually subbed him in for another gun, which is again like another pistol, which has the exact same powers as Kenny. So I don't know. They don't really explain it in the DLC. They just said they dropped him. And I don't know if it had to do anything with the controversy surrounding Rick and Morty or...
I was going to say, yeah, the fact that I think at the time they were making it or starting the development, the allegations came out against Justin Roiland and he was forced out of his own company and it was a whole mess. So
makes sense. I can't really blame him for that then. I was going to say just randomly dropping a gun, especially one that had so much importance to the story, was kind of an odd choice. But... it also popped in my head, oh, hey, there were all these issues, and it may have led to it, so that makes more sense. Any other quibbles I have with the game? There's some really bad mini-games. Like, there's a shooting gallery mini-game, which is just stupid difficult, and you have to do it if you want to get all the trophies. There's also races, 3 races, and I really love playing a first-person shooter and then having to do races. Like, I don't understand why developers want to put these odd, like, I don't like if I'm playing a racing game, I don't want to like a first person shooter segment. So I don't know why developers put these things in there. I guess it's for variety, but I don't want to play a racing segment in a first person shooter. I just don't want to do it. Not that they're that hard. There is, one difficult part to it. It's a particular jump in the second race, but for the most part, they're not difficult races. I just don't want to do them. It's not the reason I picked up the game. So, some kind of very annoying mini games to go through. Last but not least, the final area of the game, which is kind of where everything ends up for Knifey. Muxalon HQ, which is like a delivery service. The level is too dark. Like, the design of the level is not bad, it's just way too dark, and I just don't like the feel of it when it's dark. It's not like it's like scary or anything. I guess it's supposed to cause some tension, but in general, it just be annoying because finding your way around is kind of troublesome with how dark the entire environment is. So even when I was looking for some help getting some of the collectibles, one of the guys who did the trophy guide talked about how he changed the TV settings to make it easier to see. So the darkness of the final area was a little bit cumbersome, and I wasn't a big fan of it. Overall, though, I'd say a pretty positive experience with the High on Knife and High on Life, even though I do have a few issues here and there. But again, the weapons were just king. They were the best part of that game. I'd also I bought a couple things from the most recent sale. I bought Carrion for $4, which is a game Stephen Fontana came on here and talked about a few years ago. Where it's a game where you basically are the monster and you're trying to escape a facility where you're being trapped by humans. So I think, hopefully, if I get the Platinum Trophy in the game I'm currently playing, maybe I'll start that and that'll be my very Halloweenish game for this year.
I will say it is definitely a shorter game, so definitely you can get through it in short order. And I had a lot of fun with it. So much. I had played it on Game Pass originally, and I still ended up buying it when it was on a Steam sale because it's definitely fun. And I think they even made some like holiday Christmas themed DLC for it that you can play through.
Hell yeah, we love theming around here. As I went on my tangent last week or in the last few weeks about take advantage of Halloween, y'all. People love Halloween. But yeah, so that looks like a cool game, and it seems to come with pretty high praise, as we just heard from Matt. So I want to get to play that, but I spent a good amount of time this week after I finished up High on Knife with Spyro the Dragon, the Reignited Trilogy. So this was on sale for $13. You get 3 games for $13. It's kind of a no-brainer. 3 platinums, 3 games, 1 package. And I never played Spyro back in the day. I played Crash, never played Spyro, so this seems like the ultimate opportunity to drop in and play the games. And the games look really good. I mean, one of the first things they show off in the trailer is how good it looks compared to the older versions. And this was, the remake was done by Toys for Bob, which, if you don't know who Toys for Bob is, they were the ones who made Crash 4, It's About Time. So, pretty good pedigree there, pretty good game makers. The game itself, you definitely see how this is an older game by the design of everything. Really short levels. I mean, there's like a hub, like I think probably going on 5 hub areas, and then levels that branch off from that. And the levels aren't very long at all. Enemies aren't particularly difficult, although there are some dogs that pounce on you in the first world, the Artisan's world, that are menaces. They are terrible. By far the hardest enemies in the game. But overall, like you see the old school designs where it's like this game was from 20 years. You can tell this game was from like 30 years ago. That's not a bad thing though, because I do think the gameplay holds up well. And I also think that, like I said, with a new coat of paint, it looks really, really good. So, yeah, I'm having some fun with Spyro. I don't think there's anything I'm going to say that's going to change anyone's mind on it. If you have wanted to play Spyro, it probably isn't on sale anymore, but you get 3 games in one package. It's pretty good. So I have been enjoying it. The one issue I have, and there's probably no way around this, is the load times. The load times in the game are pretty bad. Like it makes you be appreciative of games. You know, there may be a point where we don't notice the graphical fidelity of games because our eyes can only see so much, but load times are one of those things that once you get away from them, you know, as much as you can, going back to a game that has really a lot of load times it's not great. It's kind of irritating. So, but yeah, that's really the only quibble I have. And again, it's a PlayStation 4 game. So from like what, 2018, I think it's 2018. But yeah, it came out a while ago, so I mean, I'll deal with it. But the game is still fun. Gameplay holds up well, and like I said, Spyro and Friends look really, really good. So I'm having fun.
Those Spyro games are back when games were like game-ass games. You just bought the game, played it, had a ton of collectibles, decent stories, good action, and the Reignited trilogy was way overdue.
Yeah, and the collectibles, I mean, there's quite like some levels have like 500 crystals you got to collect or gems, but it's not. That sounds terrible, but you can probably 100% each level in like 30 minutes. You know, you may have to go back into them a few times.
That sounds right.
They're not. You say a lot of collectibles, but I don't want that to scare people away because there are really not that many collectibles. They're pretty easy.
It feels like a lot. Yeah, but then when you get playing, yeah. Oh,
okay. For me this week, it was a whole lot of Pokemon Legends ZA. You know, the fun thing about that game is the city, it's small compared to things like Pokemon Arceus or even the traditional Pokemon game. But once you start exploring, there's a lot to actually do. You know, they're throwing people with side missions at you every which way. You can't walk down a single street in Lumio City without seeing somebody who needs help. And it could be something as simple as, I want to train my Pokemon better, battle me. Or stop this Chespin from attacking this taxi, at which the end, you get a Chespin added to your party. So there's a lot to do. The story mission is interesting. I've got to the point in the story where I can now start mega evolving Pokemon.
That's the key word right there, man. That's the fun part of this game, or at least to the outsiders looking in, is seeing all the new megas. That's the theme. You know, every Pokemon generation has this theme, and this one is, you know, coming off of Pokemon XY, which has mega evolutions, and now there's more mega evolutions than ever. Even Pokemon that came after X and Y, they're like, hey, here's a mega evolution for this Pokemon. So naturally, I still got my Charmander, and I raised it up to a Charizard so I could use mega evolution on the Charizard. But I chose Tepig as my starter, so they actually now have a mega evolution to Emboar, his final form. And, you know, like I said, it's not just the streets. They've got like hollow elevators or ladders everywhere. You can crawl across Lumio City's skylines. Like you can go across the buildings and find Pokemon and side missions up there. So it's not just street level stuff. But what they do is they have wild zones, which you can go into, capture Pokemon there, kind of like you did in Legends Arceus, where you can just throw a Pokeball. You don't have to fight the Pokemon first. But if they reject the Pokeball or their capture percentage is too low, you then have to fight it. You can't just keep throwing Pokeballs at it, because after a while, it just won't work. So then you have to lower the Pokemon's health to be able to get the Pokeball to work. And then just like Arceus, they have alpha Pokemon, which are just larger variants with higher stats. And the cool thing is, in the map, it'll tell you all of the Pokemon that can be found in a wild area, meaning you can keep going until you know you've caught all Pokemon in that area. And right now, I've only opened,
about 10 of them. I think there's 20 or 25 throughout the rest of the game. So I've caught like, I don't know, I think my Pokedex has like 74 Pokemon that I've seen, and I've caught like 60 something. But my team keeps changing. I don't think I've settled on a final team yet because I keep seeing other Pokemon. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I want that one in my team. And then I immediately see somebody else I want. So I keep switching it up. But right now, my team consists of Emboar, Charizard, Quilladin, which is Chespin's second form, as well as a Ampharos. Let's see, that's 4. Then what the hell was Froakies' second form? Frogadier, and then a Honedge. So that's what my current party is. If any of you play Pokemon, you'll hopefully know what all those are. If you've only played Gen 1, you're like, who the hell are all these extra Pokemon? I only know Charizard. Well, there's about over 1,000 of them now, so get learning. I also put some more time into Ghost of Yotei. I now have, I think, 4 out of the 5 melee weapons. And then I still have a whole bunch of ranged weapons that I need to get. But I've hit some interesting story beats. I don't want to go into spoilers here, but definitely it kind of going the way I thought I saw it going. So it's not really that much a surprise, but it's still interesting to see happening. With that, I'm at that point where I love the game. It looks beautiful. And I kind of want to wait to play more of it on my brand new TV when we do finally end up moving, which hopefully is in a month or so. So I'm looking at it going, I really don't want to keep playing it because I know this is going to be a game that I'm not going to start right back up in New Game Plus after I beat it. So I think I'm just going to wait a little bit more before I play more of the game. But that doesn't mean that I'm not having a blast playing it. It's everything I wanted it to be from a Ghost Sucker Punch game. And I just want to continue my adventure on it. Let's see what else we got. I also actually got back into Hades 2 because they did the 1.0 release a couple months back, and I figured I'd want to do a round or two of it. And I did, and I realized that I totally forgot all of my freaking controls and what to do and where to go. So I got to the second area, and then I died on the boss. So unfortunately, that's all I could do at the point of playing the game. But it's definitely, if you like the original Hades, go back and look at Hades 2 if you've been waiting. They finally did their full release, and they still have patches and improvements coming. Also played more Ball Pit. That's that game that's kind of similar to Vampire Survivors, where you just traverse down a hallway shooting randomized types of balls at your enemies, and you get special ones that will make enemies bleed or poison them or freeze them in place or hit the entire row, and then you fuse them. And I think I said this last week, was you start out and there's 70 normal types of ball attacks. And then each one of those ball attacks can fuse with another of the type of ball. So take 70 times 70 or whatever it is. And you get a whole lot of different types of attacks you could do. So I just started building out my town. I'm earning additional people that I can traverse with. So I'm having fun with that. And then in tradition, I did a little bit of Helldivers 2 with some friends. We just, dicked around. I set many of them on fire, as is tradition. And really didn't do much.
That's a terrible
else
tradition
on that.
I mean, not for you, but for other people.
Well, what's interesting is they keep yelling at me saying, Matt, you have that title, Fire Safety Officer, and they feel like I'm being disingenuous with it. And I said, the best way to learn to stay away from fire is to realize how dangerous it is. And I need to set them on fire to do that.
Well, here's the thing, Matt. There's all those. I've seen videos where they talk about like the most dangerous Helldivers, like the ones that are like bug sympathizers or bot sympathizers. I don't necessarily know that you pledge your allegiance to Super Earth. I think you pledge allegiance to the Flame. I think that you are a servant of the Flame God, and that's why you are out there torching other Helldivers. Maybe I have it wrong.
What?
Maybe I've got you all.
I'm torching bugs. I'm torching bugs, but if a Helldiver happens to be in the path of what I'm torching, that's on them. Actually, it's actually funny. I shared a clip of me playing Ghost of Yotei, and I was doing a boss fight, and as is natural, I'm using the scorch bombs and setting everything on around me on fire. And it goes into this cutscene after I beat the boss. Well, these peasants are opening the door to the compound I just freed, and one of them walked into the path of the fire. And this wasn't a pre-rendered cutscene, evidently. It was actually in-game engine. So I found that out because the peasant started screaming because they were on fire. Whoops.
Seems like a logical thing to do. Scream when you're on fire.
Well, maybe when they were opening the door, they didn't have to step into the fire. That seemed more logical. So again, I put the blame on them, not on me. All right. Well, that's all I've been playing this past week. It's few, but intensive, in depth with some of these games. But we can shift onto the news unless anybody else had anything they want to add. Alrighty. So our first article, something that you gents may be interested in. The PS Store quietly adds a new feature that lets you know if you're getting the best deal on a new game. Coming from thegamer.com, written by Josh Coulson. Basically, if you're browsing the discounted games on the PlayStation Store, there's a handy feature that lets you know if you're getting the best deal possible. It's a tag that has been added, and it's appearing on store listing that informs users whether the game has been available for less through PlayStation at any point during the last 30 days. It's a neat feature. I don't know how helpful that is, because by the time you see it, if it was cheaper 30 days ago, does that telling you maybe you want to wait a little longer? Or does that just, how would you take that yield? If you saw that, it was like, oh, I'm going to buy Astrobot this week. Finally going to play it. Then you see it was cheaper 20 days ago.
When I first saw that this week, I was like, oh, that's new. That's kind of neat. But the only problem with that is at least from my experience, like with Amazon, they never tell you what the cheapest price was. They'll just be like, this is the cheapest it's been in 30 days. Well, okay. Or this is the cheapest it's been in 14 days. Okay, but what was its cheapest? So while it's helpful, it's, unless you're paying attention to the store, or at least your wish list, you could save more money at a sale at a later date. So it's useful, but it's not the be-all, end-all of telling you where your deals are at, I guess is what I want to say.
Okay. Alex, how would you feel if you came across that and saw it?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, the easiest thing to do is to put a game in your wish list and just periodically check back for it. And I don't know. I feel like if someone really wants to buy a new game, they'll pay full price for it because they really want to play it. Maybe somebody Ghost of Yotei comes out and somebody doesn't want to wait and they buy it right away. But just monitoring the price, like, first of all, you're not going to get a great deal on a brand new game. Like, it's going to come out full price, and if you're going to get like the best deal possible, it's definitely not going to be on PlayStation Network. So, I mean, honestly, maybe somebody's held by this. Maybe it's maybe some people will feel aggravated if they feel like they're being taunted by it because they missed the best price. But just having a game in your wish list, I think, because the PlayStation Network will tell you, hey, there's a game in your wish list that is on sale. So to me, that's the best way to find a deal, is just have games in a short list on your wish list so you can go in and look at them and see when they're on sale and, just any price changes. That's what I do. But maybe.
No, and that makes sense. And that's how I've looked at it. It's like, again, I see that and go, if I'm interested in a game, wishlist is my best way, because that'll tell me when the game is on sale and what to look for. Otherwise, I'm sitting here going, all right, well, I don't just randomly look at a game. Now, that kind of does help if you're looking at a game that you've never looked at before and you suddenly see it was on sale and you go, all right, well, if it's on sale for that, maybe I could wait longer. But to your point, yeah, maybe you want to support the devs and just buy it for whatever price it's at, or maybe you're just hankering for a new game. So it's a neat feature. And to your point, Yield, yeah, Amazon won't tell you what that price was. It's kind of like I've been doing it on Steam sales forever. I have it on my wish list. I wait for a Steam sale to come up, and then I go, all right, am I willing to pay this much for it? I'm not too concerned about, well, did I get the best price? I'm concerned about, am I getting it for what I can afford at that point in time? That's at least how I've taken these. All right. Next up, there is, okay. Are you two vaguely familiar with the Counter-Strike skin market? You know, weapon skins and
Not at
things
all.
like, not at all?
Yeah, no, I've heard of Counter-Strike, obviously, but as far as like the market for skins, I have not.
Okay. So, in Counter-Strike, you can play games and you'll get a chest to unlock, and then you have to buy a key from Valve to unlock said chest. That gives you weapon skins or gloves or things like that. You know, Counter-Strike's first-person shooter, therefore everything you see is what you can look at. It is your hands, your knives, your weapons. Well, some of them are very what's the word? Sought after. It is an expensive thing because then you could take those skins and you can
piss me off.
It is. It really is. But maybe you'll get some schadenfreude here from the message. So some skins go for mucho dinero, meaning that they can be sold for thousands of dollars. Like there was a weapon skin I think this article talks about that was like $1,000 plus on some of these knives. And this article is coming from Dexero.com, and it was reported all over the place. But this essentially what happened was that it has kind of like a market cap. So all of the items together create this cap on I don't know how to better explain what a market cap is. I was never good in finance. Basically, it's kind of like a ceiling. And in this case, the ceiling was $6 billion. Okay, so all of the items on the Counter-Strike's marketplace was amounting to like $6 billion. Well, Valve did an update and it basically made some of those more rare items accessible under like other conditions or through drops maybe not as rare as what they once were. It knocked off approximately $2 billion off of that market cap, meaning people who might have been sitting on items suddenly found that item, again, in the market value, dropping 90%. So this angered a lot of people. And, you know, some people were like, you know, this is my livelihood. I do this for work. Where I play the game, I make these items, or I get these items. And it dropped the market cap significantly. And there's a lot of people who are kind of taking a sick level of satisfaction. And it's interesting to see the dynamics because you have a lot of people who are depending on these games and the money they make from it for their livelihood. And then others being like, dude, you play a fucking game and you gamble. That's what this is. Because that's essentially what you're doing is you're gambling by opening these crates and hoping you get something good. I don't know. I've never been one to really try this in the games, and I'm sorry I said 2 billion. It was actually 1 billion. Oh well. But Alex, I don't know, are you still pissed off seeing how there are people who've lost out on this?
So if you can make money that way and there's a market for it, go right ahead. I though think that selling these digital items for, and again, if someone's willing to buy it, I mean, there's a market for it, but very much the how much it costs, like jacking up the price of these digital goods is very much like, yeah, like if somebody wants to spend like $20 on a goal score in Rocket League, you know, that's your choice to do with what you know, with your money. But on the other hand, I'm like, man, you're really fucking it up for the rest of us because this economy now, if people are spending that much money for these goal scores, the prices never go down. So it kind of fucks the rest of the community because you're willing to spend that much. So, the other side for me is like Valve making these drops and this stuff better, easier to get for other people, I think is a good thing. Because here's the thing. While if you can make money legally, I've got no problem with it, selling stuff. But also, like, people who are like, this is my livelihood, I'm like, get a real fucking job. Because I'm sorry, that's not a real job. You want to get mad at me for saying that? That's fine. But that's not a real goddamn job. Sorry. And if you're reliant, and this is what can happen, if you are reliant on that as a source of income, Valve as the game maker or publisher, whatever, can change that on a dime, and now you are out of luck. Or you have just now lost out on money you could have made. So, yeah, I can't really feel sorry for these people. I'm not really angry on their behalf. Because in general, I think allowing people, lessening the price of digital goods, especially like skins and stuff like that, cosmetics, is a good thing for the community. So I'm not going to sit here and get all riled up because some people who have tried to make money off it or make a living off it rather than get an actual job are pissed about it. And I don't know, Matt, do you think that's callous of me?
I don't think it's callous. Like I said, is I treat this no different than the stock market. Because people are playing with other people's money, making bets on what'll work and what won't, what'll sell and what'll languish. And yeah, people are going to be upset, but they have to realize that's the game they're playing. They're playing with digital goods. And this has been always a thing that I've said is that if you're playing with digital goods, you're playing with stuff that you may never see again one day. Just like I'm buying games on Steam. I know one day, hopefully never, hopefully I die before this becomes an issue, is that one day Valve could just say, all right, we're out of business. Goodbye to all those games that you bought. The thousands upon thousands of dollars. When I looked at my Steam DB sale chart, I think I was at, over my lifetime, probably about $10,000 spent on Steam through various periods and prices. And I realized one day it could go all up in smoke. And that's the risk I play. But to make a quick buck because you're buying drops and selling drops on the market, it's interesting. I don't think you're out of line, Alex. It's just one of those. People have to realize this is the type of market that they're in. But Yield, you have any input on this?
Not particularly. I kind of agree with Alex. And if that's your job, Valve can pull the plug on it. So
you have to be aware of so I work, obviously I've said it 1,000 times before, I work in a grocery store. People are always going to need food. Like, my job is pretty secure. Obviously, unless the company goes out of business, but we're owned by Amazon, so whatever, that's not going to happen. But when you have your job as something that is very much like in this kind of scenario, you have to be aware of the changes that can happen to make your job obsolete or the things you sell, in this case, cheaper and own less value to you. So for anyone to put all their eggs in this basket and then get mad when Valve does this, it's like, well, they own this and they can do that, and you've basically relied on this, and now you're kind of, I don't want to say up shit creek without a paddle, but this definitely lessens the amount of income you're going to get. It's your fault for relying on that and not thinking about this happening. People seem to lack foresight, and to me, I just can't feel sorry for them. One, because I hate the price of digital goods. I think that there are some, games. I mean, some of these cosmetics cost as much as a game. People work for years on games, and then some of these cosmetics cost as much as a game. I'm sorry, people inflating the price of digital goods, I can't feel sorry for you. I just can't.
It's a risky game you play when you're playing with other people's money, so to speak, and especially when you're playing with your own on something that doesn't truly exist. If you're spending that much money on something that you can't touch or feel, that's a risk you gotta figure out. That's on you. All right. Next up, speaking of things that people have to figure out, Tero Vertali, who was the CEO of Remedy Entertainment, the makers of fun games like Alan Wake 2, Control, and Firebreak Control, has mutually agreed with the board of directors that he will step down from his position as the company's CEO with immediate effect. He's been in the position since August 2016. The company will initiate a search, and meanwhile, Marcus Maki has been appointed as the interim CEO, while Henry Osterlund assumes the role of chairman of the board. Seems like there's some shakeups happening at Remedy. I don't know. I mean, Alan Wake 2 did okay, but took a while to break even. Firebreak Control was interesting, but maybe not enough what people were looking for. Do you think this led to any of his downfall, Yield?
Well, I'm sure it did. I mean, if your games don't produce, you're going to get moved out.
Yeah, I don't know, Alex. This one is. I didn't think Remedy was in really bad shape, but a CEO stepping down immediately, not even getting a transition. What are your thoughts?
It's really odd and without clear answers or transparency, which I guess they don't owe us. They don't, they're always going to tell you why someone was fired, or the company itself isn't going to be like, yeah, well, this is why we got rid of. There's not going to be an official statement about that, although it may eventually leak out. But I don't know. Like, it's Control. It seemed like he did pretty well. They're making a sequel. Alan Wake 2 got a lot of praise. I don't actually know what the sales were, but the first Alan Wake seemed to do well enough that they continued to tell that story and expanded upon that world. It's odd. You never know. I mean, maybe it's due to financials, but everything being so abrupt, it's like it could be like 1,000 different things. You never know. So it could be that, usually when someone retires or steps down or quits or something like that of their own accord, it's not so sudden. It's like, hey, I'm going to hang on, like Doug Bowser. Doug Bowser's on for a little bit longer and then he's gone. So it's usually not immediate. And there's usually some time, this person gives enough notice to where like they'll be gone in like 6 months or the end of the year or the end of the fiscal year. But yeah, it's odd. And it's easy to speculate, maybe not the best thing to speculate, but it's, Remedy seems like they're doing well. I mean, they've got a lot of stuff in the queue. They've had some big name games, so I would hope it's not because of financial issues.
And I think they're working on Control 2 at this point. So, a shakeup in leadership carries some connotations with it. Will the direction of a game change? Will there be adjustments they need to make? Is the game going to increase or decrease in scope? All things to take into consideration that, Control was a hit and a lot of people loved it. But has it been too long? Has it been, too long since Remedy had like a really big hit on their hands? Like I said, Alan Wake 2 took a while to break even. And we know in the world of gaming, breaking even, essentially you're put on notice that it was a failure. Because you don't make games to break even. You make games to sell and profit millions upon millions of dollars. And it's sad because the games aren't bad. And maybe they're just not getting the attention they deserve. But also, Alan Wake 2 being digital only and on PC was segregated to the Epic Game Store, which we know carries its own negative connotations that people may not want to deal with. They'd rather buy it on Steam and play it there. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a whole circus of decisions. I don't know. Did either of you play Firebreak?
No.
No, I did not.
Okay. It was set in the world of Control, and it was you and 2 other of your friends going through missions. And it was like eerie stuff, but it wasn't quirky like Control was. It was just, here's your mission, and do this, and your characters have special powers. It was fun for a bit, but definitely didn't have staying power. And the devs have acknowledged that it's maybe not doing everything that they wanted to do. So I think that was something that they put in maybe as like a stop break to get to the next Control. But in the grand scheme of things, it didn't do what they hoped it would. So maybe Alan Wake, and maybe it's just been time for changing the guards. It's just, again, to me, I sit here and I look and say, well, effective immediately means that there's been stuff brewing behind the scenes that maybe we're not seeing. And as you said, Alex, we're not owed, but an immediate step down is usually never a good thing for that person. Usually, if they were doing their job and doing what they needed to do, they get that time, like Yield said, where Bowser, gets to transition to somebody else. Much luck to him, and hopefully he lands on his feet somewhere. That is it for articles, because we do have a larger set of articles to cover for our topic of the week. So with that said, we are going to transition over to the listener questions, of which our boy Saber Rider Thomas decided to write a whole bunch of questions, some that have to do with gaming and others that don't. Some are just comments. So we'll address some of his ones first. And the first question being, is Xbox dead? Well, we'll get to that in our topic of the week, Thomas. Then he asks, will Fable also be a part of PS5? Again, we'll get that in our topic of the week. He does make a statement saying, raising the price of your services during a downturn in financial situation, is it a sign of decay? I don't know. If you're raising the prices in a situation where most people are getting their cost increase, are you just rolling with the times, or are you shooting yourself in the foot? Yield, go to you first.
I say you're rolling with the times. I mean, they could have kept their prices lower to kind of be like, look, everybody else is raising their prices, and we're maybe not going to raise them as much. But yeah, I just think that everybody else raised their prices, and so why not us?
Alex?
Yeah, but Microsoft raised their prices twice, and I saw something where they raised it again, but it's not. I don't know if it's the headline I saw is for developers. I don't know exactly. Maybe it's dev kits or something like that, but it's really stupid to raise the price of your console when seemingly very few people want to buy it. I mean, anyone who's got an Xbox, I'm not saying it's a crappy machine or it's an ill-fated console or it's not a worthy purchase, but at this point in the lifespan of the 360, I think everyone who's got one has one for the most part. And raising the price is going to stop people who maybe waited to buy it till when it was cheaper. Maybe people are like, oh, I'll wait till later in the life cycle and I'll have tons of games to play and I'll buy it for cheaper. Well, nix that. So for me, when the demand for an Xbox is at an all-time low after, all these years of people buying them, you raise the price, it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
And I think that's a problem. And you know what? Raising the price itself is just one thing to consider. How much they raised the price is another. With, Ultimate going up, what is it, like an extra $10, so almost 50%. With the others going up $7 or $8, so again raising them, 30 to 40%. I think they could have done it in a little bit more of a tiered system where it really is, maybe they raise it $2 or $3. So that way people can absorb the hurt a little bit more. Everybody's raising prices, but the fact that they raised it so much is, I think, what the real problem is. Thomas also asks, Ghost of Yotei could be Game of the Year. What else could be? And this is where our boy JT jumps in and talks about he doesn't think it will, that it's too normal, but that Clear Obscure is a better game. Also notes games like Hollow Knight Silksong. So I don't know. Yield, do you have any Game of the Year contenders from this year?
Not off the top of my head. Not that I've run across that's been new.
If you're talking, you're in another window, Yield.
Oh. I am. I'm sorry. Not that I've run across this year. And not that I can think off the top of my head where I've been like, yeah, this is Game of the Year.
All right. Alex?
I mean, I haven't played either, but it seems like from what I've heard, both Ghost and Obscura would be, or Clear Obscura would be good choices. Honestly, to me, like, most of what I've played is from previous years. I mean, I played Tales of Iron 2. That was I think the only game I played that's released this year. Everything else has been from the past. So it's hard for me to say Game of the Year when I've played so few games of the year. And as much as I love Tales of Iron, that's not, I don't think that's even consideration. So it's it's just hard for me to say yay or nay. But I do think those will both be good nominees.
Okay. I'm going to add in a couple games that came out this year that I think, based off of previous years of Game Awards, might have something. Obviously, we noted Clair Obscur, we noted Hollow Knight Silk Song, but also Donkey Kong Bonanza, as well as up and coming The Outer Worlds 2. We'll see what that's like. Split Fiction, which we know Jose Fair's studio has won Game of the Year awards before. Mario Kart World. And what's the final one? The new Final Fantasy Tactics, which is a remake of the old Final Fantasy Tactics. I think you got a couple contenders in there, but Ghost of Yotei, I think, is definitely top of the list. I think really Nintendo is going to be the only one that really contends with them, along with Clair Obscur. Oh, and I'm sorry, Death Stranding 2 on the beach. Boy, is how it came. How this year's shaking out. I'm glad you understood that reference.
We didn't see Half Baked when they were growing up.
It was actually one of those movies I had no interest in, and my friend forced me to see it in college.
And you loved it.
Let's see.
Loved it afterwards.
Listen, folks. I am so not in that world, so I got the humor. I quote it every now and then, but it's not like it's a Blazing Saddles or a.
Now that was a good movie.
Well,
yeah, look, which you can't even show on TV anymore.
There's just movies that you don't like. They come out and you just don't expect a lot from them. I would say Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle is one of those movies. Where like I had friends in college that watched that movie like hundreds of times, like ridiculous amounts of times. So, I mean, I think Half Baked was you went in, you didn't know, maybe you knew some of the comedians. They were all, for the most part, like established, but like not near the peak of their careers. And it was just, I don't know. Like Matt, I got the humor. I don't think you have to be in necessarily that space or use the drugs they use to just enjoy Half Baked as a moviegoer.
I'll liken it to this: is I had coworkers that was like, you have to watch Dazed and Confused. They're a little bit older than me, not much, but a little. And they said, this is the greatest movie ever. And I watched it and I'm like, I will never get that hour and a half of my life back. Oh, well, I guess you have to be a stoner to get it. I go, yeah. And what made you think that I was going to actually enjoy that movie? Like, what the fuck? Oh, man. All right. Next question. Thomas again says, Tricky needs to address the JP issue. And Rick says he certainly does. Justice for Kalai. So we'll swing back to this when Tricky is on next week. But to give you all the heads up, this goes back to Kalai donating to Tricky's Extra Life for him to buy and play a game, which was Baldur's Gate 3. Tricky bought the game. He has yet to fulfill the pledge and actually play it for Kalai. So I'll definitely remember to circle back on this one next week, because that's going to go immediately on the agenda. Topic number 1.
Oh, I was giving him crap in the Facebook group.
I mean, I don't know who buys a game and then doesn't play it. Who wastes their money like that, you know? It certainly would never be. I would never do that.
Did he actually buy it, though? Because the picture that he showed, it said trial across the top.
Oh, the investigation goes deeper. We'll have to see.
And that's kind of why I was giving him crap. I'm like, if somebody donates that kind of money, they expect you to play a game, not play a trial.
Yeah. And I think the pledge was to complete the game, right?
Now that I'm foggy on.
Well, we can't believe anything comes out of Tricky's mouth because he doesn't fulfill his pledge.
Imagine he wanted
next question.
$500 for Extra Life to play Kill with Fire. I guess we know he never played Kill with Fire.
Yeah, so you might as well not even try to raise that money. Thomas also asked, with the new updates in Helldivers 2, will more people play? I think every update gets some players back to the fold.
Well, you're always going to play, at least with me, you always play a little bit just to see, did it make it better? Did you notice anything? You know, does it make it better? Does it make it worse? My buddies texted me and said there was a big update. We played a little this weekend. I really didn't notice anything. So it probably didn't affect the weapons I use.
Yeah, I'm pretty much locked into 3 weapons now. Alex, Do you think it'll get more people back in with each update?
So, I mean, I think that there's more going on behind the scenes than a lot of people realize. Like, I have started to watch some of the Helldiver YouTubers and the content creators, and there's a lot of mess going on between Arrowhead and some of those people. And you read the comments, and there's a lot of people that are just kind of tired of Arrowhead's attitude. There's seemingly a belief that Arrowhead is very arrogant, or that they're just like, well, this is the way we're going to do things, so you like it or leave, our way or the highway. So on the surface, if you're just looking at the game and playing the game, you're probably still having fun. Hopefully they took care of the crashing issues, because that was really what I had issues with, was it crashing my PlayStation. Or at least the game crashing and going back to the main screen on the PlayStation. But if you pay attention to the communities, the people who play Helldivers and the people who are content creators and stuff like that, there's a lot of kind of people just being very tired of Arrowhead as a developer and kind of their attitudes and the way they handle some things. And especially with Arrowhead, with some of the content creators, like some bad blood that's really brewed up. So I think a lot of people will, I don't want to say a lot of people, I mean, the numbers have dropped. And, who knows? For a lot of people, when things get really bad, there's a lot of games out there to play. You may not get some of those people back. I mean, we're not even 2 months removed for Xbox joining the fight, and we're already down to sub 100 numbers. In some cases, we're down on certain nights to sub 50,000 numbers. So whatever they gained, they seemingly lost since that began. So I can see if you're not tapped in, they can be like, oh yeah, I'm going to play some more. And I'm not blaming anybody for doing that. You bought the game. If you still enjoy it, like, hopefully you're not having any trouble, but there's a lot more going on behind the scenes, behind the curtain than some people might know. So I think that Arrowhead has done things, like the people who are really tapped in the community, Arrowhead's done a lot to damage that goodwill they had. But as far as a game goes, I mean, the game itself is still fun, but I just haven't played it because, again, I bought all the stuff in the war bonds, and I feel like I just didn't have anything left to do in the game. So yeah, am I saying I'm never going to return to it? No, I mean, I'll probably still play Helldivers unless it's a complete just shoddy mess. But yeah, I mean, hopefully with the most recent patch, they fixed a lot of stuff. But I definitely think there is a lot still of a lot of people in the community that are not happy with Arrowhead. And unfortunately, with some of the bigger issues, and with people having their PCs ruined by the game crashing, you tend to lose people, and then they go play something else, and you never get them back. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but we'll see.
I think the other thing being, especially on the PC end, is the performance is still, questionable. I'm sitting here running on a 5080 now, and I'm only getting 100 frames a second. And I'm like, this shouldn't be that difficult. Game came out before the 50 series came out. Why are we still struggling? So I don't know. I definitely think every update brings somebody back, but then they start putting these legendary war bonds out, worth 1,500 super credits, and you're going, well, that's 500 more than the regular war bonds. This is truly worth it. Is Arrowhead really trying to make money off of this now? I mean, are they turning to the dark side?
The Halo Legendary War Bond, the ODST, that was just based on it being a Halo thing. I don't think I've tried the guns in there. I don't think any of them are better than some of the guns we already had. So I think it was purely you're buying the Halo name for that. Kind of like with Mario Kart. Nintendo charged more for Mario Kart because they knew they could. But also, I think it has to do with the engine for the game, the Stingray engine. I think it's a little bit outdated and why they've had some of the issues they've had, but also the file sizes. It's gotten upwards of over 130 gigs taking up your PC space. And I think a lot of people who play on PC are like, hey man, what the hell? Like, I don't know if the newest patch helps alleviate that, but I know file space and it taking up storage space was another big issue for people playing on PC.
Well, there's also the issue on PC where they made this whole announcement about how it runs on hard drives versus solid state drives. There's a whole thing there that they're working on that I'm not well versed in to discuss, but definitely not helping. All right. My lovely wife V writes in and says Final Fantasy Tactics is making her power level her characters like they are Pokemon, over-leveled and way overpowered. Are there any games you guys play that force you to do this, or that you play like that? Yield?
No, because I really don't play those types of games.
Okay. Alex?
Pokemon is, I remember the first Pokemon game I played, I got everyone in my party and a few more beyond that to level 100, which is in Pokemon Red and Blue. That was the top you could go, was 100. I feel like in Pokemon games, I tend to just like hyper level everything, so it just beats the shit out of anything and everything. I'm trying to think if I mean, there are definitely games when I feel overpowered, but I don't know if that's just the normal. I can't remember anything that's outside of the normal loop of gameplay to where like I'm just like grinding for a long time to get the last time I think that I grinded so much to overlevel to get better in a game or to have better odds to win a game was Bloodborne. But other than that, anytime I feel overpowered, I feel like it's the like in Turtles Splintered Fate. I feel like it's just part of the game. Although I did, before I tried to do my perfect run, I made sure that I had I'd say about like 75% of the upgrades. So I mean, in that instance, I feel like to take on the challenge, I feel like I overleveled. But in general, and for the most part, I feel like it's just the normal course of gameplay when I play anything that I'm, super bulky in.
Yeah, I mean, like I tried to do that in Elden Ring, where I would do that for certain areas, but then you still get to a boss that decides to wreck your day. Pokemon, obviously, I did it all the time, and it was how I got through certain fights. So, it's not that I play a ton of RPGs, but definitely those I do. I try to overlevel to make my life a little easier. Unfortunately, it gets a little boring from the grind.
Well, I mean, with Pokemon too, like there's certain Pokemon you just really like. Like, say, if you're playing Sword and Shield, you may really like Grimmsnarl because Grimmsnarl's cool as shit. But you may come across, obviously, it's all type based, and you may come across an enemy that has an advantage over you, but yet you want to play as this Pokemon. So it's like, well, I'm just going to overlevel them so they can take a hit essentially better. And when going up against like Elite Fours and all that, like the in-game trainers, being overleveled and being able to dominate obviously just makes life so much easier. So it just kind of lends itself to the way Pokemon is, just to have these massively overpowered creatures to make the game even easier.
Alrighty. And then finally, we got our boy Zach writing in. It says, Tricky, why is your sole focus to spend your money on games you don't own? And when you do want the sorry, Zach, you threw me off here. When do you want the Xbox nerd back on Trophy Horse? Zach, any time you want to come back on, we will get you on, because I love when you come on here and give tricky shit. Let's see. That's it for our questions. Thank you to those who wrote in this week. Appreciate it. Gave us some good discussions to go over. And now we get on to our topic of the week.
Toe. Topic of the week. Well, fine then. Fuck you, Matt.
And this week, if you've been living under a rock, I don't understand how you missed this one regardless, is Halo is coming to PlayStation. And once again, Tricky and Daryl were in the Facebook page gloating, saying they were right. So it's not just that it's Halo, it's called Halo Campaign Evolved, meaning PlayStation owners are going to get a remake of the first Halo game, complete with co-op, though I don't think the articles have expressed what that co-op is, whether it's just online or split screen. However, it is not going to have online multiplayer, meaning that there's no PvP, yes. There's no competitive. So the articles I added were from videogameschronicle.com, where the Halo community lead wears a PlayStation t-shirt on stage to announce Halo is on PlayStation going forward, as well as an article from GameSpot.com where, who was it that said it? Sarah Bond, Xbox president, which I thought was not Major Nelson. Why am I blanking on his name? Phil Spencer. Anyway, Sarah Bond says that exclusive games are antiquated. And then another article from thegamer.com where former head of Blizzard Entertainment, Mike Ybarra, said, somebody tell Nintendo that, because he isn't convinced that Xbox's attitude towards exclusives is the correct version. Obviously, this is a case of where people are letting their internal gaming politics kind of speak for themselves. especially as it comes to their strategy moving forward. Yield, it sounds like you're excited to get Halo on the Xbox.
Well, especially now since I know there's no multiplayer, so that means there's a good chance that they won't make you have an Xbox account to play the game. I liked the first 3 Halo games, so I have absolutely no problem playing them again. That was some fun times that I had with friends playing through the co-op. So, playing through the story in co-op mode. So I would wholeheartedly, go through it again. I just hope that we're not just getting Halo 1, that we'll also get 2 and 3. Eventually, somewhere down the line.
Well, that's what people are calling for. They say, why aren't you just putting the Master Chief collection on PlayStation? And I think it's a little more difficult than that. You're working with multiple engines and multiple things that would have to be ported over. Now, it should be noted that, again, this is a remake of the original Halo, meaning that there's going to be all new cutscenes, new textures, new graphics. There's going to be additional weapons. I think 2 new chapters featuring Master Chief and Sergeant Johnson, a couple other odds and ends, but this is a full-fledged game, which to me speaks that your PlayStation players are probably going to be, well, not just PlayStation, because it is coming out to Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. That's probably going to be a full $70 game, knowing how Microsoft is.
Well, I mean, and I look at it as it's basically a remaster, right? I mean,
no, it's going to be a remake. So I'm going to say this. It sounds like it's going to be a remake in the aspect of brand new engine, brand new textures and cutscenes, but I think the missions will be pretty much the same. I don't think we're looking at like a Resident Evil remake where they reposition all of Raccoon City and the police station. But that's just my estimation. Alex?
Pretty momentous occasion for PlayStation. Recently we were talking about how before this came out, it's like, oh, they should never bring Halo, or no, they'll never bring Halo. It's been said for the longest time that, there are some things that are sacred to each console and they'll just never go over. And here we see that nothing of Microsoft's is sacred. It's all going to go wherever they want it to go. And maybe that's a good strategy. Maybe it's not. I mean, personally, I think that selling old Halo games on a PlayStation 5 to all the PlayStation 5 owners is a smart idea. But they also said that Halo going forward is going to be on a PlayStation console, which means all the new releases. So, after all this, you want people to invest in your services in, they're still making, from what they tell us, another Xbox. There's going to be a next generation of Xbox. So you're telling people, we want you to buy our console, but yet you can play these games as well as the PlayStation games over on the PlayStation. And I think it'd be smarter releasing remakes of old games, Gears of War, the original Halo, not a problem. When you start putting the new games out and every new game you have on the PlayStation, sure, as opposed to Game Pass, where it's a subscription service, on PlayStation, they need to buy it. There is a difference there. But you seemingly are just giving people no reason whatsoever to buy your console. I mean, unless they're just using your console to get Game Pass. If people don't want to West PCs or whatever, if they don't want to figure out the apps on a television, if they just want a console that is in their room or in their living room, yeah, sure, the Xbox Series X is the easiest way to do that. Or the S, whatever. But you're also, by doing this, you're making it so people have less of a reason to buy your console.
Yield, you were going to say?
So do you think, going forward, that there'll be timed exclusive?
So from what we can see, remember that Gears of War E-Day is coming out to all systems, and that wasn't announced as a timed exclusive. So I don't think they're going to be doing that. I think they still hold on some of these plans that, on Game Pass Ultimate, you're getting it day and date. On all the other tiers, you have to wait, and you'll have to buy it separately unless you want to pay for that extra level of Game Pass. But I also sit here and look and say a 20-year-old game, 21-year-old game is that the victory you really wanted as a PlayStation player? Like, yes, obviously it's a huge deal with Halo coming over. Maybe that means, according to the community director Brian Gerard, who was wearing the PlayStation shirt, saying that Halo's on it moving forward. Does that mean PlayStation's going to be getting Halo Infinite? Because according to them, Halo Infinite was the be-all, end-all of Halo multiplayer now. That's what they're going to iterate on. That's what they're going to continue improving. So maybe we see an announcement here in the near future that says Halo Infinite coming over to PlayStation. That way it joins everybody together. And for that, you definitely will need an Xbox account. So I guess you won't be playing it.
It's multiplayer. I want the single player aspects of Halo, not the multiplayer.
Well, I mean, here's my thing. If you want to play it co-op with somebody else, you're definitely going to need an Xbox account. But also, Halo Infinite co-op was a lot of freaking fun. Open world Halo, being able to go around and explore with my friend, it was a lot of fun. So we're already talking about, going back through playing this remake in legendary mode, hopefully seeing if we could beat it or not. So I look at this and say, yeah, they're giving you bits and pieces, Gears of War, Halo, albeit updated, remade, which is nice. But again, now this gets into the aspect of, well, we keep just remaking games. And are you getting anything new and exciting? Which, certainly they're not bringing, well, I don't think Outer Worlds 2 is on PlayStation, was it?
I think it's making its way to PlayStation.
I look at Gears of War as a victory because I never played Gears of War. There are people out there who have never owned an Xbox console, and I'm one of them. So I've never played Halo, multiplayer at a friend's house, but I've never owned a Halo game or a Gears of War game. So to me, they're both victories. And if this is the way we have to do it with Microsoft being like, well, we're going to sell you these old games first, then fine. I don't think anyone's going to have any issues doing that. The one thing, though, that is funny is that the biggest aspect, I'm not saying the campaign for Halo was bad or anything like that. I'm from what I hear, it's very good. But the multiplayer was the main aspect of that game that people seem to have fun with. And not having online multiplayer with this seems like you're kind of getting a neutered version of Halo. And I know that Yield's happy about, for trophy hunters, absolutely. No multiplayer is good. Or no online multiplayer is a good thing. Because it means there's no online multiplayer trophies. But it also feels like they're not giving you the full package when they're not giving you that too.
So here's the thing. Original Halo didn't have online PvP. You had to wait to Halo 2 for that. However, what ended up happening was on the original Halo, you literally had to LAN up your Xbox consoles together to play more than 4 players in a match. And people actually, hacked in a way to connect Xboxes across the internet, which led to Halo 2's ability to have that. But again, there was no online multiplayer. Just like with Gears of War Reloaded, there was no Horde mode. That came around in Gears of War 2. I was hoping maybe they'd add it back in, but they didn't. They kept it to its original format. I think it's a missed opportunity to not have some sort of multiplayer in the original Halo 1 or this remake. I think it's a big miss on why Halo was so popular in the first place. But to have none of it, meaning I don't even think you can do a local multiplayer PvP, basically from what I'm reading. So you don't have that entire aspect. And then here they are charging what's, I assume going to be the full price of a game. So that's my take on it is PlayStation owners are getting a 25-year-old game and it's not even the full game from when it was back then.
Well, the thing for Microsoft is now if they don't have online multiplayer, they don't have to maintain servers for the game. And they're selling this, they're trading this on the name Halo alone, which I understand. So that's probably what they're looking at it from is like, well, we can make easy money just by selling it to the PlayStation 5 users. and we don't have to, deal with online multiplayer, deal with moderation, servers, none of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's definitely a strategy. I think the thing's going to come down to what's the price that they're going to charge for it. I think that's going to be a big determining factor.
What's the thing you like to say, Matt? Bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it works out.
Yep. All right. Anything else you gents want to talk about on this? Because it, like I said, is it a win for PlayStation? Yes, but I don't think it's the win that they were hoping for.
I do think it's a win for PlayStation if it means that Halo from now on is something we never, 2 years ago even never thought would happen. You'd see a Halo on a PlayStation console, Master Chief on Halo on a PlayStation console. So I do think it's a win. For Microsoft, though, if you're trying to get away or you don't want the image that you're Sega and you're just publishing games for other people and other people's consoles, this is maybe not the best thing to do. I'm sure they have people who have all the data and they're very smart, business-minded people, but, again, you've now lessened the need to buy your next-generation console, which feeds into the idea. I mean, there's already enough, out there to kind of question whether Microsoft is getting out of the hardware game or not. We know they've tried to move more to digital on the digital side of things in the cloud. And I don't know, it just kind of, with all the rumors that are swirling around Xbox, I don't know how many people are going to be willing to invest in their next generation console with everything that's happened in the last year, in the last 10 months. So we'll see if the strategy works for them. But it's going to be something to watch. I'll say that.
Yep. Yield, anything else?
Nope.
All right. Then we can move on to shoutouts. We'll land this plane. Go ahead, Yield.
Shout out to Matt and Alex for recording this evening. Shout out to Tricky for trying to interject into the show. Shout out to all the pimps of the mountains of the whoredom for downloading, listening, hanging out with us on the socials. Shout out to my niece's high school band. They were competing in state today, so kind of waiting to hear how that worked out. And I think that'll do it.
You ready? Alex?
I want to give a shout out to the listeners, the fans, the fuel to the fire of this Trophy Horse, our awesome community. Thank you all for making it to the end of the show, and I do want to apologize. As you may have heard, I kind of sound like a Muppet because my nose is very stuffy. The change in the weather has kind of finally hit me, so I've been dealing with a leaky nose all day. But thank you for joining us this week, and as always, we appreciate your support more than we can say. Shout out to my co-host, Yield and Matt, as well as Tricky, who decided to take some time off, not related to pimping out the show and passing out Trophy Horse propaganda. So, shout out to you three gents. And last but not least, give a shout out to my awesome and loving girlfriend, Ashley. I love you, hun.
All right, and my shout outs include to you gents for recording tonight. Shout out to Tricky for making sure we had what we needed for today. Shout out to the Devils for their win over the Avalanche in overtime. Huzzah. Shout out to, again, Will for his artwork. And shout out to my wife, V, for everything she does. With that said, hope you folks enjoy your hunting. Bye.
See ya.
Later.
The theme song is Venus by the band Even off their album Zenith. Permission granted by the band and 12 Stone Records. You can find them on Facebook by going to www.facebook.com/EvenPhilippines.